This is the Your Money Hour podcast. I am your host, Dakota Grady. So before we get started, if you haven't heard about my website, dakotagrady.com, check it out. The resources there for you. My book, Financial Hope, is there in audio, ebook, and paperback as well. In my course, you can get that online. And if you need help with your business, check out my website at theatdoc.com. That's the accounting tax and tax doctor.com. So check it out. My guest for today's show is Dana Morales of thehappinessbucket.com. I hope I got that right. So Dana is, and actually she's in the Nashville, Tennessee area. I met Dana last year. So she had me on her podcast. So I wanted to just share the love and invite her to my show. So without further ado, Dana, welcome to the show and tell about who you are and about what you do.
Well, as you stated, my name is Dana L'Oreal Morales. I am the owner of the Happiness Bucket. I'm a holistic process strategist. So I help entrepreneurs to develop, implement, and streamline processes in both their business and their personal life, because I really believe in holistic organizing. And so I know it's a struggle for entrepreneurs, specifically side hustling entrepreneurs. And so I wanted to give some tips and tricks to those who are trying to really make a difference and to do those things.
Awesome. So how long have you been in business, and tell about the other hats that you wear as well?
Okay, so I've been in business since 2013, but when I started my business, it looked completely different. It looked completely different. I actually have a full-time job. I am a project manager for a corporate law firm here in Nashville. And so, that is my daytime job. I have no intention of leaving it anytime soon. And I think that's one of the things that makes me different as a coach, and again, specifically for side hustlers, is and all entrepreneurs, but specifically side hustlers, because I truly understand what that means and the struggles that side hustlers have when it comes to starting their business and trying to maintain the ins and outs of a side gig, side hustle on top of a full-time job. And of course, I'm a mother. My daughter is 7 years old at this point, and I'm married. And so I understand all the hats, right? And so I really like to help my clients navigate all of those things. And as you obviously know, as a parent, that looks so different for every individual. And so just being able to adapt the plan and adapt all of the things that you have to navigate to your life and not trying to have a cookie cutter for everybody is important to me.
So tell me, if someone comes to you and needs help with getting organized and having processes in place, talk about what you do for clients and how you help them.
So the first step is really just to talk to the person to find out what their needs truly are, because I have really I kind of split my services into three different buckets. So I have the business bucket, which is the individual who is really just looking to get the processes and things established in their business. And that can look many different ways to many different people. The next phase or the next segment would be your personal life, and this is kind of split as well, but really your home life of getting your home organized, getting processes set up in your home to help it run smoother, to help you get in and out of your house, dealing with your children and your spouse's schedule, all at the same time. And then there's also dealing with your personal self, because a lot of us as entrepreneurs kind of deal with everything else and we leave ourselves for last. And if we didn't learn anything in 2020, we learned that it's important to really, look at self-care. And so believe it or not, there's a lot of organization that comes into that as well. And so those are the three main areas, although those are split between personal and business. And then I have the holistic side, which is basically all of it. So there are some clients who just are like, I need everything. And so, so that's the first step, is just figuring out where are they really wanting to focus their attentions, and then determining, their financial needs, their time needs, because if you need quick turnaround in, maybe you have a launch or something going on, then that's a one-on-one service type of interaction that they're going to want to have with me. Whereas you have others who maybe their budget isn't in the right place, or, you know, I shouldn't say in the right place, but maybe they are a little bit more budget conscious in that they have to piecemeal their things together. Then they may be better for Organized Academy, which is basically where I have taken all of my coaching, my teachings, all of the step-by-step how-to information, and have put it into an academy format, so that they can get what they need when they need it. And then I roll out new trainings based on what my clients in the academy have said, hey, I really need help on XYZ. Then we will do a training, and then that's offered to the rest of the members of the academy. So it's usually one of those two.
So it paused. You said that one of those two.
So, because I was like, what happened? So basically my clients come is usually one-on-one service, or it's the academy service.
All right.
So, you know, it depends on where the person is in their journey. And some people just want one-on-one assistance, and they really like that hand holding and just having me personally at their disposal. And so they prefer the one-on-one route. And then others are kind of DIYers, and they're just kind of, oh, if you just give me the instructions, I'm good. They still have access to me through the academy, but it's just a little bit more of a group coaching type of thing, where everybody gets the same information that is being offered.
So when did you launch the academy? Talk about that some.
The academy launched in the summer of 2020. And I did a really soft launch. And this is something that I do teach my clients to do, is sometimes we are so excited to get something out, and we want to do a big splash to get information out regarding our services and things, but we don't do a testing of it, right? And so what happens a lot of times is you do this big, all this publicity, hey, come here and test this out, and then it flops because there's technical issues, or something goes wrong, awry, or you forgot a piece, or what have you. And so I always do soft launches. So early in the summer, I did a soft launch for founding members to allow people who are interested in joining to join at a discounted rate. And that ran through the end of 2020. And now we are basically in just open applications, or I shouldn't say applications, but open joining, because it's an open door process. I don't open and close my doors. It's basically whenever you find me, you can join at that time at whatever the price is at the time.
Awesome. So how have you been able to balance being a mother, entrepreneur, employee, and a wife?
A lot of hats in it. Organizing. You knew I was gonna say that, Dakota. Is honestly, it is process and organization. It's really about looking at your overall needs. What is it that you have to do? First of all, what are your priority things, right? So what are the things that are most critical to you and are most important to you and are game changers, right? My daughter, her going to school, getting her to school and getting her the things that she needs to survive, right? Those are critical. I'm not going to skip out on those. And then just listing, figuring out what are critical things for the day, because it's not here's my list and this is what it's going to be every single day and I don't have to worry about it. You really have to look at it on a day by day and a week by week basis. You can have an overarching calendar of this is kind of what I'm seeing for my month, for example. But even when you plug in those different things for the month, you are also going to be plugging in things for work and for home and for your personal self. I feel, again, we're holistic. So, when I plan out my calendar, I really look at, is my week really balanced, right? Is my month balanced? Now, you're going to have weeks where maybe this week is really heavy at work, and so I'm not going to be able to do a whole bunch of my business. But then the next week, I'm going to try my best to shift that, right? And I'm going to say, okay, I really need to spend some time in my business because I owe this to a client, or I really need to get prepared for a new bundle release that's coming out. And so it's looking at where's my extra time. So, and this is it's a loaded question, Dakota, because with my schedule, I'm a project manager. So that ebbs and flows as the day goes on, right? There's no set calendar or set time when it comes to projects. Same with my daughter, same with my business. So it really is a, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of a puzzle piece, blending it together, trying to figure out what makes sense for the day, setting list of priorities of, okay, today, what's on my calendar, and let me see what are the 3 top things I need to address today. And I try to, and I say try to, list one thing from each section, right? So one thing for myself, one thing for my business, one thing for work. Work also, that's an 8 to 5. I'm dedicated for that time period, but even in that, I have priorities and a priority list that falls into that category as well. And then just another thing that I like to do, this is getting into some lessons. I'm like, okay, let me think about this calendar thing. So we all know that if you are working a full-time job, and even if you are not, because I really want to stress this. So Dakota, I know you're full-time in your business. So let's say your business hours are 8 to 5, right? You're working in your business from 8 to 5. Let's say that you had clients booked all day for Monday. Let's just use Monday for an example. So 8 to 5, you're working in your business. You are grinding, right? Mm-hmm. But you haven't had time to work on your business.
Correct.
You've been working in your business. So that's the same thing as a side hustler. My 8 to 5 is I'm working on my full-time job. So that's a dedicated time period for that. So now I'm going to say, okay, what periods of time do I have to work in my business? Well, for me, mornings are out because that's dedicated to my daughter. So we've got lunchtime, a lunch block, and I have an evening block. Well, there's certain days during the week I do not work in my business just because of things that are going on in my household. So, I may dedicate, Wednesday and Thursday, my daughter goes to her grandparents' house. So Wednesday and Thursday nights are business nights, period. Now, within those business nights, I spend time with my husband, of course. That's our alone time. So I'm like, okay, now I've got to navigate with him. Do you want to do something on these 2 nights, or are you good with just being, chilling on the couch or whatever? So it's communication. It's navigating through, setting some clear deliverables as far as what time is dedicated to my business, what time is dedicated to my family, what time is dedicated to working in my business versus on my business, and then navigating those. And I know that was a long answer to your question.
Well, I think it was important is having a to-do list. I mean, I do one too. And recently I've changed from doing a prioritizer one. It's still prioritizer, but it's basically trying to cram as much activity that I can in one day. Mm-hmm. And challenge myself to go to bed at 9 o'clock p.m. that is Eastern time. Mm-hmm. Because for me, I hit it hard. I go hard. I'm all late. I'm trying to get stuff done because I don't like to leave things unfinished. One, especially if I'm doing stuff for a client, I want to get things done timely. But
right,
I got to challenge myself to cut it off and go to bed.
And I mean, for you, and I think that's a very good distinction, right? Because you're full-time in your business, whereas a side hustler doesn't have that ability to do that clear cutoffs and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to, their evening times, that's their crunch time. So it's important for you to acknowledge within yourself, what are your pockets of time when you can do specific things. And as you've done, is set specific rules. You have that clear-cut time for your business, and I'm assuming that's working in and on your business is in that time frame. And then once your work hours are over, that's family time, right? And then 9 o'clock is your self-care time because you're like, I gotta sleep.
Yes, exactly.
I gotta,
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your husband. How does he? Is he supportive of your side hustle? I mean, like, how does that work? And how long have y'all been married?
Yeah. So we've been married 8 years. He is very supportive. He, just the nature of our daytime jobs are completely different, but he understands what it is that I do. So he'll go out there, you know, and he'll post something saying, hey, go check her video out, or if you need organizing help, you need to talk to my wife. So he's very supportive in that nature. He's very supportive when I have interviews or calls in the evening hours, and I'm like, hey, I need you to navigate our daughter and keep her, you know, entertained. Now she's old enough I can just say, hey, I've got a call, I need you to not come in. But just being able to be the parent, the go-to parent during that time, he's very open to that and supportive from that nature. And I know that that's a blessing, because some people's spouses don't understand, and, you know, it's a, why are you doing that instead of being here with us? Or, you know, and even with kids, it's the same thing. So
My wife and I, we've been married for 12 years, and right now she's like, our daughter Naomi, who's 4 years old, not 7, 4. So
understand. They don't understand. I got an interview, right? They're like, Daddy, I need you.
Close the door.
Lock, because you can't just close it. You gotta lock it.
So, question for you: how do you? Well, you're unique in having a side hustle and a job, and not wanting to quit the job. Talk about that. Like, how do you? Yeah, just expand on that, because, like, for me, like, the full-time job, I've done it for years. It's time for the new, I'm doing business. But for you, it's different. So talk about that dynamic.
Well, I think the big difference for me is that my side hustle was built out of me seeing a hole in the industry, right? So in my daytime, like my daytime job and my side hustle are pretty much the same. The main difference is my full-time job is really like my company is my client. If you really, you know, if you want to put it in those terms, because I'm doing the exact same things that I'm doing for my clients for this company. They're just paying me to do that on they basically have contracted me 8 to 5 to do this for them, right? That's not how it came about, of course, but if you look at it from that perspective, why would I leave? Like the only value in me leaving is for me to take on clients full time, but I feel there's a need in both areas. And plus there's insurance. Let's just be real. The pay is good. There's insurance. I mean, you know, like there's really no value at this point in my life for me to leave this job that I've been in for 19 years at the same company. You know, like this is my family over here. So for me, that just wasn't a need, right? I'm not saying that there never will be the desire at some point, but right now it just works with the way that I've developed my business. And I think that's important for anybody, any entrepreneur, especially when they're starting out, to think about is what were your goals for going into business? What is it that you want to get out of it, right? And truth be told, my goals for going into business were to have a backup plan, because at the time that I started my business, my husband and I were new in our, you know, it was new in our relationship, and he was not a permanent resident at the time. And so we were going through the immigration process. And the reality of the situation is that he could have been denied. And if that were the case, was I going to have a long distance marriage with a child, or am I going to go where he, you know, wherever he is? And so I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to worry about a language barrier, that I didn't have to worry about finding another job. And so introduce, you know, not only did I see this hole in the industry, but I also saw the ability for me to do what I do on a day-to-day job, you know, day-to-day basis individually for small businesses. But again, that's not how my business, although that was what was in my head, I started off just doing physical organization. And if you think about that, the fact that I would have to move to another country and any clients that I built at that time wouldn't move with me. So that didn't make sense, you know? And so I really had to navigate that and think about, okay, you're developing this business and it's being successful and you're doing the physical organization. But first of all, you don't like that. Second of all, in the end picture of what you see, this isn't where you see it going. So why are you spending the effort focus on physical organization wholeheartedly 100% when you really want to be doing more of the business side of things? And so that's when my business began to shift, and it began to evolve into what it is now, which is I didn't abandon the physical organization. I just changed it in a way where I'm teaching people how to do this for themselves. I'm not coming in and physically doing it for you, because I just felt like that was not beneficial to anyone. Because I can come in your house today, Dakota, and get you organized and look perfect and you're all happy, but I leave and you keep living. And so your home is going to continue to evolve, and the mess is going to come back if you don't know how to maintain it, if it's not built around what you need. So I really spend time educating people on how to develop those systems and processes for themselves. And that's really what my business has evolved into, is really teaching people how to do things for themselves, teaching them the whys and the hows behind the processes and the organization that they need to have in their business, in their homes, in their lives, so that they can live basically their happiest life. And that's how the Happiness Bucket, the name of my company, came about, because it's like, you are the bucket, right? And you've got to put things in that are going to fill you. I'm getting a little, I'm Christian, I'm getting a little religious here, but you're filling the bucket. You're filling it, and it's going to overflow to the point where it's just spilling happiness out. And so that's kind of my viewpoint of what my business, basically the purpose and what it comes from. So when you think about, are you ready to quit your full-time job? Absolutely not. Like it's filling me. So I'm good.
Great question. Well, great response, because I want to get your point of view, because again, you're unique. Most people that I know would say, I'm getting my business off the ground and boss, I'm gone. So
yeah.
Before we wrap up, you mentioned one thing, which is basically having a to-do list. What's one other tip you could give the audience about how to be more organized? And I like the point you said, basically being self-sufficient, doing things on your own. What's one more point before we close?
I think making sure that you identify your peak hours, your peak time of productivity, so that you are filling that time, because everybody has a peak time. And in some cases, you may have more than one. But I know mine's in the evenings, right? Well, afternoon, right? 2 to 4 is like when I'm like, once I start doing something during that time, I'm just like cranking it out, right? So if you figure out what that productivity time is and make sure that your to-dos are actually calendared in. So a lot of people create this task list and they're going down the list and they're kind of marking things off. But when you think about things that are important to you and that are important to your day, they're usually appointments. They're usually calendared in. And the only reason that you move it is if something more important comes along, right? So why not put it on your calendar? Why not dedicate, 30 minutes? And when I put things on my calendar, everything goes in my calendar as a 30-minute appointment, even meetings, unless it is a clear cut, it needs to be 45 minutes or an hour. And so we've got to get our mentality out of scheduling everything for an hour. So 15 minutes, 30-minute blocks of, I need to do this, let me put it on my calendar. Because that means if you say everything is 15 minutes, right? That's an hour. You've knocked out 4 things. If you think of it from that mentality, you know what I'm saying? So
I do.
Definitely that, I guess, if any tip I can give you right now, just a quick, you can apply it today, that would be it.
Awesome. So tell them about how to connect with you on social media and your website, please.
Of course. So everything is Dana L'Oreal Morales. And you can get, my website is dlmorales.com, where you can, all my social is on that website, and that will also take you directly to Organized Academy, or you can just go to organizedacademy.com. Either will get you there. But definitely reach out to me. I'm most active on Instagram, or LinkedIn. Those are the two main. I am on Facebook, but that's kind of that third layer. So Instagram would be primary, LinkedIn, of course, secondary, and then the newsletter or website. So Dana L'Oreal Morales or dlmorales.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Dana, and thank you
Sure.
for listening to the Your Money Hour podcast.